I'm Megan Cusick, and welcome to another episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars. Megan Dineff, General Manager at Ervine's Auto Repair in Grand Rapids Hybrid and EV, has some pretty well-known parents in the industry. Jamie and Eric Carlson, winners of the 2021 AAPEX Shop Owner of the Year Award. These kind of accolades can be pretty hard to live up to, but Megan is proving to be a force in her own right. In 2022, she won the Woman of the Year Award from the Auto Care Association. And, having served on the council for the Young Auto Care Network Group and as a champion for women in auto care, she's worked tirelessly to prove her skills and build a career based on integrity, knowledge, and a deep passion for helping others. Today, she's not just a voice in her shop, she's an advocate for all auto repairers and a champion for the industry. All right, so can you tell us about your family's history in the industry and then how you got started in it?
Absolutely. So my dad went to Ferris State University to become a mechanic, and he got rolling, worked really hard, worked at a couple of shops until he found one to buy. So in 1994, he and my mom bought Ervine's Auto Repair, which was owned by the Ervine's family at the time. And my mom started working with him. She also was a flight line mechanic in the Air Force. So she started doing the books for her husband, as a good wife would do, while my sister and I were in school full time. And eventually morphed into her working full time, and my sister and I would go and pull weeds in the parking lot, admittedly we were not good employees. We were terrible at pulling the weeds and like painting fences, and I think they're just trying to give us things to do to earn money and be a part of the business. So yeah, that is how my parents got to Ervine's. There were a couple of shops before that my dad had worked at, but this has pretty much been his home base his entire career.
You started pulling weeds with your sister.
Yes.
How did you, what was your next step at the company or outside the company?
Absolutely.
As it were?
So when I was in college, I worked like the front desk, answering phones, making appointments here and there in the summer. But I didn't really start working at Ervine's full time. Well, not even full time. I didn't start working at Ervine's until 2011. So I got married. I moved in Indianapolis. I had our son Bryson, and came back to Michigan. And my mom had her first grandbaby, and she wanted to spend some more time with him. And she said, hey, why don't I take him for a day and you go to work, I'll pay you, and you be with adults and take care of people. And that's how I really got started at Ervine's. Yes, so it was an accident, but like also not at all. It was a really good thing that my mom suggested. So then I had another baby, and my sister had a baby, kind of within 3 weeks of each other. Yes, and so my mom said, I cannot take care of all of these children. And she did a really sweet thing and said, I will pay for your kids to go to daycare if you want to keep working. And so it was just 2 days a week. I went from 1 day a week to 2 days a week when my daughter Hayden was 1 or very close to 1. And so that let me really get involved in kind of day-to-day operations, not just 1 day a week. And I learned more and more about the business. And by the time that my kids were both in school full time, I decided to get more involved. So I would add extra days on. And about 3.5, 4 years ago, I started working full time. So, and it has been awesome to be involved and take on more responsibilities and learn about all of the things that they do and that they've had to learn over the years. One of the things I said to my mom not too long ago is, how did you just do this? You were just doing the books for your husband, but like that's never really what it is. But then Google and social media come around, and the amount of HR stuff that has to happen just to run a business is mind-boggling. How did you do all this? And she said, well, it didn't used to be all of this. So it's been nice to be around like while this is evolving and being able to get in on the ground floor of a lot of the things that are going on in the shop.
Because I know you mentioned you came in 2011, right?
Yep.
So, not quite, we've been a few years into social media at that point, but still kind of the nascent era of social media there. So I can imagine, I imagine you were probably, were you a help to that at that time?
Yes. So my mom got into Google really early. She was an early Google reviews adapter especially. And I would run like the Facebook page and stuff. That might have even been when I was in Indianapolis. Okay. But that was, Facebook wasn't where people went to get business recommendations and that kind of thing in 2010.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I've been on the forefront of the growing up, the elder millennial I am.
Yeah.
I've grown up on social media and been able to have a hand in it. I think it's a really fun part of my job. It takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But like today, I had ChatGPT help me throw a social media post up for what day is it?
April Fool's Day.
Yeah. There we go. So yeah, I've been able to help with that since the beginning, which has been fun and kind of made that my own.
Oh yeah. No, that's awesome. And so did you always, did you grow up thinking like, I'm going to join the family company, or was that just like, it's an option? Yeah.
No. I went to college for public and nonprofit administration. That's what my degree is in. I am not using that. Hopefully, if we start nonprofiting in the business, we're doing things wrong. We don't want a nonprofit in the auto repair shop. But it has always been an option. I didn't ever think about it being an option in this way. I think in like 6th grade, I wrote something saying I wanted to be a mechanic like my dad, and I drew a little logo, and I still have that little paper at my house. Yeah. I don't know that I ever really wanted to be a mechanic, but it was something that I had to write, and I did it. So I've always known it was an option.
Right.
I never saw myself in it the way I am, but it is the best, most perfect place for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yes, I'm very thankful.
Yeah. And like, did you ever work in any other, auto-related businesses, or was it always just Ervine's?
So when I lived in Indianapolis, I worked for Napa, and I was a parts driver.
Oh, okay.
So I learned a lot about shops and how we get parts, and not about parts, because we have talked, and I think I can say this, I don't really care that much about cars. They're great. They get us where we need to go. I love that they give people jobs. Things are fantastic with the automotive industry. I love the people.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I learned at Napa was with talking to my parents, like, hey, when you get to these shops, ask them where they want things to go. Don't just walk in their front door in their lobby and hand them parts. Like, when you go somewhere for the first time, ask them questions. Make a contact so that you can do exactly what those shop owners want or the foreman wants. Man, and then they loved me.
Oh, that's awesome.
They loved me, and by the end, I was super pregnant. And like they would end up getting parts out of my truck from me. They wouldn't even let me get out of my car and like carry things in, which was very sweet of a lot of the shops that I took care of, and then they took care of me. So I worked for Napa for a while, and then had my baby.
Being a working mother is, one of today's, one of the modern day's challenges. And I think that's inhibiting maybe a lot of women in coming back to work, especially after having children. What was your method for, kind of working through that, or, coming back to work?
So I didn't have to be there. So it's not like I was going back to a job that was like, you got to be here right now. What's happening? I knew I was going to go back to work after I had my daughter. I didn't know what that would look like. So if it was only 2 days a week, my parents would still employ me if I was still only there 2 days a week. I wanted to up my game in that aspect. I have just kind of made it what works. And that is a really big perk of working for your family, for working for your parents. So am I good at it? No. Do we make it work? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just is, we're providing for our family, we're helping the public, doing the best we can to make sure that our kids are taken care of well. So being in a place that wants employees to win, it's not just me, it's all of the technicians and everybody else that works for us. You have to want your people to win in and outside of work. And my parents really want that. My bosses, my parents, whatever you want to call them. So, when I get calls from school, because I have kids that have some different needs, I shut my door and I take the calls. And that is how I have to work, is I have to be there for my kids when they need me. And I'm very blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's excellent. Are there any other obstacles you've had to overcome in your personal life that have, affected work at all? Or?
Sure. Well, ADHD is a real thing. So making sure that I'm staying on track at work has been a challenge, and again, helpful to work with people who understand it. But like staying medicated and making lists and finding what works for me has been incredibly helpful. I'm listening to podcasts on how to best be an employee, because just because I work for my family doesn't mean I'm just flailing.
Right.
I have responsibilities. I have people who look to me for direction and that I am overseeing, and I need to have it together. So, making my lists and using ChatGPT, like we were talking about, to help me organize my day is incredibly helpful.
Nice.
I also have an anxiety disorder, so being around people who care is very helpful.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to affect me nearly as much as it did in my early 20s, but every once in a while, it likes to rear its ugly head at me.
Right.
But just some things of me staying on my medication helps me a lot at work. But those are some of my struggles, is dealing with things that people can't see, which is hard to do.
Right, absolutely. And then, so what would you say is the biggest challenge you've faced in your professional life at Ervine's?
I don't know that I have a crazy struggle. I think one of the biggest challenges is that I am held to a higher standard than other employees. And my dad is very honest when he says that to me. He holds me to a higher standard. He expects more of me than he expects of anybody else. Part of that is he doesn't want anybody to ever think that I'm getting preferential treatment, that I have worked my butt off to get where I have.
Right.
And yes, I think that I have absolutely worked incredibly hard to be in the role that I'm in. Nothing was handed to me as far as the position that I'm in today. These are all things that I have taken on and learned and made my own. So I don't face a lot of the discrimination, the down talking, any of that. We are in a small shop. Sometimes I have parts people come in and say, "Thanks, hon," or "Thanks, sweetie," which, depending on where you are in the country, that is appropriate. That's not my thing in Michigan.
Yeah.
But I don't face a lot of that with my bosses or anybody that works in the shop. So I'm pretty darn lucky.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. So speaking of being a woman in the automotive industry, I understand you've been working on councils and everything like that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do in that realm?
Absolutely. So a few years ago, I was on the Yang Council. That's part of the Auto Care Association.
Can you tell us that acronym for those in our audience who don't know?
Yes. So that is Young Automotive Networking Group.
Okay.
So, and that is for those under 40 and the Auto Care Association.
Okay.
So for a long time, it was the corporate side of things and not a lot of shops.
Okay.
So I kind of busted in there one time and I thought, you know what, this is silly that we don't have any shops. And I was actually sitting next to JC at a lunch, and I had no clue who he was. This is my first meeting with JC. And he asked me what I thought of Yang, and I said, I think it's kind of crap, because it is, and I say this to JC, come on now.
Yeah.
I have no clue who he is. I think it's kind of crap. It is all corporate. It seems exclusive. You guys can't do anything without shops, and shops aren't involved. How are you going to make changes?
Yeah.
And then I'm on the council. I said it to the wrong person. So I got involved with their Next Steps program, which is how you learn more about Yang and the Yang Council. So I sat on the council. That was during COVID, so I helped put together the online conference that we had.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Nice.
Which was a whole fun situation.
I believe it,
yes.
yeah.
So I did my 2 years there, and unfortunately I have aged out from Yang. Yes, so I'm on the list to be a mentor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that is a cool thing. I really like Yang. And then also, so on Yang, my big goal was that shops had a voice. So when I left, I was like, please just make sure that there's someone else from the repair side of things that can keep speaking up. So I know right now that they have a guy named, I think Kenny is still on, but I'm like, please just get somebody else in here after him so that we can have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And that's important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And your work with the Women in Auto Care?
Yes, we're very involved with Women in Auto Care. My mom is actually on the council for Women in Auto Care. I am what they call a champion. So having 2 people from one small business on the council is a lot to give up time-wise.
Right.
So I'm a champion, which means I'm happy to help with anything.
Okay.
So right now we're getting into scholarship season, which means we're starting to read the scholarships.
Okay.
And then give away hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tools and scholarships to women going into automotive. So I'm a champion for the scholarships, but then also I help put together the auction for the Women in Auto Care Conference, and we raised $114,000 in one night.
That's fantastic.
Yes. So it was a really good turnout. The ladies come to spend some money, so that's really great.
Nice, nice. So I know you mentioned earlier that you love working with the people, and that's kind of like your favorite thing. And even when you were mentioning like working at Napa, you know, you talked about just like being personable with all of them. So, you know, how have you worked in, you know, bringing that personality or that, you know, customer interaction into your job at Ervine's?
So when I started working at Ervine's, my entire job was customers. Take care of the customers, answer the phone, greet them when they come in. And over time, it has morphed into learning about their families. How is your day going? What do you have planned for the day? Which we need to know so we know how to contact our customers, or you know, they need their car back because this is happening. Right now it's spring break time, so I know where people are going on spring break, because when they say we need to have a road trip or we're going on a road trip, great, where are you going? And it's just having conversations with people and being genuinely interested. And I'm thankful I have the time to do that in my position, because the people are important. If we don't have the people, we have nothing. So being able to take care of them in the good times and the bad times. We've had people come in after a spouse has passed away and they are at a loss and don't know what to do with their cars. Women, older women come in and their husband is always taking care of their car, and they don't want to drive a free loaner car. So, you know, giving them rides back and forth, making sure that they are cared for, that they know we're not going to try to pull the wool over their eyes, and show them exactly what we're doing and why it's important. I don't necessarily sell service. I can, but there are some people who would rather talk to a woman when buying things, especially if it's someone who maybe hasn't been treated well by another shop. So I can sell service if I need to, but the first step in doing anything is making a connection. And I think that is the reason that people come to us, is because we're able to make a personal connection with them.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. When you have that connection, I mean, people are more likely to come back. They know you and they trust you, and I think that's a fantastic, you know, way of doing business there. So, all right, and so speaking of Ervine's there, or maybe not Ervine's, what do you see as your professional legacy? What do you want to leave behind?
That's a big question. So right now we are in the phase of my parents stepping out of the business a little more, you know, and maybe doing some succession planning, and we're just kind of starting those conversations. And so my legacy is kind of theirs at this point, which is keeping the shop around for our family should they need jobs, or should they want to go into trades. Nobody is pushing Ervine's on anyone, but there are 4 grandkids, and if any of them want to work at Ervine's or have an interest in owning Ervine's, keeping it around long enough for the grandkids. What I see as my role right now is continuing what my parents have started. And they started it, and I have jumped in and I have helped make it what it is today. I firmly believe that I've been a partner in that for the past couple years. And just making sure that Ervine's is thriving for whoever needs to be there, whether it be me or my kids or my niece and nephew, or their kids down the road. If we have it in our family, that feels like a good landing place for anybody who needs it. Until we decide firmly what we're doing, my job is to make sure that I'm treating people kindly, making sure that we are being honest and transparent and just being good people and doing good work.
From navigating personal challenges to carving out her own space in the family business, Megan has shown that success isn't just about expertise, it's about heart. Whether she's answering customer calls, speaking on industry panels, mentoring others, or championing causes close to her heart, Megan continues to elevate the industry as a true leader in auto care. Join us next time to find out her views on what it means to stay ahead in the industry. All right, Megan, we're going to play a little game called B-Sides to get to know you better. I'm going to give you a series of choices, and you tell us which ones you prefer.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Let's start with some general questions. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
That was quick. I like that. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. Skiing or camping?
Oh, I like both. I'm gonna go camping.
Okay.
I'm ready for warm.
Baseball or golfing?
Baseball.
Okay. Basketball or hockey?
Basketball.
Okay. Read a book or listen to it?
Ooh, listen.
Okay. Fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
What's your favorite genre of fiction?
Rom-com, nothing heavy,
Nice.
Everybody's happy
Okay.
and loving each other.
I love it. Love it. What's next on your to-read list?
Oh, I actually know this and I can't think of the name. It's on my Kindle. I already bought it and everything. It's part 2 in a series. I don't know.
Oh,
Can I email you?
that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, now this is Vehicle Care Rockstar, so let's move on to your musical tastes. All right. Would you go to a concert or a Broadway musical?
That's a hard question. I'm gonna say a concert.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to ask you about Broadway musicals
let's do
anyway.
it. Let's do it.
Rent or Hamilton?
Oh, Rent,
Okay.
but that's a toss-up.
Okay. What's your favorite Rent song?
Why are you asking me hard questions? La Vie Boheme.
Okay. Rap or R&B?
Rap.
Okay. Country or rock?
Country.
Okay. Eminem or Kendrick Lamar?
Eminem.
All right. NSYNC or New Kids on the Block?
New Kids on the Block.
All right. Kid Rock or Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift.
All right. How much would you pay to go to a Taylor Swift concert?
$500.
Okay. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but
I don't think I'd get in.
Okay. First concert you attended?
Boys to Men
Okay. Last concert you attended?
might have been Kid Rock.
Nice. Okay. Best concert you attended?
New Kids on the Block.
Awesome. Well, Megan, you're a rock star. Thank you so much.
Thank you.